The Freeway Phantom. A true story of Washington's silent stalker. Between 1971 and 1972, Washington, D.C. was haunted by a serial killer who preyed on young black girls, abducting them from their neighborhoods and leaving their bodies along the city's freeways. Known as the Freeway Phantom, this elusive predator killed at least 6 girls, aged 10 to 18, strangling or stabbing them and dumping their remains with chilling precision. A taunting note left with one victim mocked police, yet no suspect was ever charged, leaving a case steeped in grief and systemic neglect. The Phantom's shadow lingers over the capital, a reminder of forgotten victims and justice unserved. Who was the Freeway Phantom, and how did he vanish into a bustling city? This chilling mystery, one of DC's darkest, remains unsolved, a wound in a community's heart. The terror began on April 25, 1971, when Carol Spinks, a 13-year-old, vanished while walking home from a store in southeast D.C. Her body was found 6 days later on a grassy embankment along I-295, strangled and sexually assaulted. On July 8, Darlania Johnson, 16, disappeared from the same area. Her body, also strangled, was found 15 days later near I-295, so decomposed that cause of death was uncertain. The pattern emerged with Brenda Crockett, 10, abducted on July 27, 1971, and found hours later off Route 50, strangled with a scarf. The killings continued. Nenemoshia Yates, 12, vanished on October 1, 1971, while running an errand. Her body, raped and strangled, was dumped along Pennsylvania Avenue. Brenda Woodard, 18, was abducted on November 15, 1971, and found the next day off Route 202, stabbed multiple times. A note, written in her handwriting but believed dictated by the killer, was tucked in her pocket. "This is tantamount to my insensitivity to people, especially women. I will admit the others when you catch me if you can. Freeway Phantom." The final confirmed victim, Diane Williams, 17, disappeared on August 30, 1972, and was found strangled along I-295. The D.C. Metropolitan Police launched a task force, but the investigation struggled. The victims, all black girls from low-income neighborhoods, were targeted in daylight or early evening, suggesting a bold killer who blended into the community. The freeway dump sites, I-295, Route 50, Pennsylvania Avenue, were busy, yet no witnesses saw the disposals. Forensic evidence was scarce. No fingerprints, no DNA, and only vague tire tracks. The note, analyzed for handwriting, offered no leads, and the killer's use of victims' clothing or nearby objects, scarves, belts, left little to trace. Suspects were numerous but unproven. A green Vega car, seen near 2 abduction sites, led to Robert Askins, a convicted murderer with a history of abducting women. Askins owned a similar car and used tantamount in prior writings, but no physical evidence linked him, and he died in 2010. Another lead pointed to members of a local gang, the Freeway Boys, but alibis cleared them. A tip in 1974 implicated an Air Force officer, but he passed a polygraph. Theories suggested a cop or delivery driver, given the killer's ease in busy areas, but no one was charged. The case's grim details deepen its horror. The Phantom abducted girls from familiar streets, often near their homes, implying he stalked them or knew their routines. The note on Woodard, forced to write her own epitaph, showed a cruel, taunting mind. Most victims were raped, but the lack of semen suggested a methodical killer using protection or avoiding detection. The freeway dumps, visible to drivers, hinted at a brazen desire for attention, yet the killer left no calling card beyond the note. Systemic failures marred the case. DC's police, overwhelmed by rising crime in the 1970s, deprioritized black victims from high-risk areas, assuming runaways or gang ties. Families, like Carol Spinks's mother, faced dismissive officers, delaying searches. Racial bias and underfunding meant no centralized missing persons unit, and evidence was mishandled. Woodard's note was lost for years. The community, tight-knit but distrustful of police, withheld tips, fearing retaliation or exposure. Theories range from a lone predator to a small group, possibly imitating other serial killers like the Zodiac, whose taunting notes were public at the time. Some link the murders to similar cases in Maryland or Virginia, but no connections are confirmed. The killings stopped after 1972, suggesting the Phantom died, was incarcerated, or moved. Advocates argue the true victim count may exceed 6, as missing black girls were underreported. The Freeway Phantom case reshaped D.C.'s southeast. Parents tightened curfews, and freeways became places of dread. Families of the victims, led by Brenda Woodard's sister, formed support groups, pushing for reopened investigations. A 2018 task force re-examined evidence, but degraded DNA and lost files limited progress. The case, featured in a 2021 documentary, remains open, with a $150,000 reward for tips. Today, the Freeway Phantom haunts Washington, D.C., with 6 confirmed victims and no justice. The city's highways, pulsing with traffic, hide a killer who walked its streets. Was he a neighbor, a transient, or a figure shielded by neglect? The notes taunt, "Catch me if you can," echoes along I-295, a challenge unanswered, a grief unbroken. If you enjoyed this videos, follow me, like, share and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.